Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of It's Our House podcast with me, Faz. We've got Chris and we've got Stu. How you doing, guys? You all right?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, man. Right. Very good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. So today we have a very influenced person, shall we say, on our pod who's Welsh. Wrestling and is hopefully going to come up more and more in the ranks over the next few months. So Nadia, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
So how you doing?
Get yourself comfy then, Nadia. Get yourself comfy.
Yeah, I know. I need to literally I'm on my phone, I'm on my bed. I need to get myself all comfy and ready for this.
That's what we need. So we'll start off basically. So what are your first memories of wrestling? I watched your YouTube video where you obviously discussed about some of the things we're going to talk about later. So if you could just kind of go into that, what got you into wrestling in the first place and why?
So I don't know, like people who are new to me, obviously, I talk about this a lot on my YouTube channel anyway, on my Q&As, but for the people that are new to me, I'll just go from the start. Yep. But when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I fell in love with wrestling. It was back in 2001, and it was when it was the Alliance versus WWF, and I got so suckered into the storylines. I genuinely thought it was real. I remember going to school having anxiety that the WWF were going to go out of business and that the Alliance were going to take over, and that the Hardy Boys and Nita and all that would all be out of a job, and I wouldn't see them on TV again. That's my first memories of it, and ever since then I was literally I want to be a wrestler.
Okay.
Fair enough. No, we all pretty much got into it around the same sort of age, and it sounds like, because Faz, you were saying about 9 or 10, weren't you? I was about 8 or 9 as well.
Yeah, I think most people do, don't they? It's just you see it on TV, and it's literally it's just got a wow factor, and all these characters are larger than life. They're badass. It's literally just a bit
It is that proper good versus evil as well when you're that age, and you genuinely think you want the good guys to really win, and then you get older and you think maybe not.
I wanted the bad guys. I wanted the bad guys to win even back then. I was a horrible little kid.
You're a fucking hero anyway, so you would.
Exactly. I know, exactly. So Nadia, back when you did get started first doing your own wrestling training, when you actually started to want to get into it properly, what were your goals back then? Did you have anything in mind? Was there anywhere? Obviously, you're a WWE fan. Everybody wants to get there eventually.
My goal for me at that time was to go to WWE. That's all I wanted. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but as far as I was concerned, I was going to go to WWE. No one was going to stop me, and that was my dream.
Cool.
So were you one of them at the school going, "I'm going to be a wrestler," and then they were like, "No, you're not."
No, in primary school, primary school and high school, we'd be like, "Oh, what do you want to do as a job when you're older?" I'd be like, "A wrestler." They'd be like, "No, that's not a real job, this and that." And my mum's like, "Oh, nah." It's if only they could now, you make a full-time living off of wrestling. Right. So, you ain't in WWE, but at least you're making your living off of it.
100%. I love hearing those stories, man. When people say you're not going to be what you want to be, and then you actually end up being that.
Yeah.
So,
and is that still the long-term goal? Still wanting to try and make it to WWE, or are you quite happy with?
I'm old now and I've burned loads of bridges, so probably not.
Fair enough. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, Chris is doing that for us, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, all day, every day. I get that completely.
Being from Cardiff and what year were you when you started getting into wrestling? How old were you roughly?
I was literally just after my 14th birthday. I went to my first wrestling training session. Before that, I did a bit of judo. But since I was about 12, I was always looking for wrestling schools, and I finally found one. And just after my 14th birthday, I started Celtic wrestling, which was at a place called Catay's Community Centre. Dragon Pro train there now, and Attack run there, and Dragon Pro still run there. So that place has literally always had wrestling for the last 14, 15 years. But at that time, it was a wrestling promotion called Celtic Wrestling who were doing training there. And I remember walking in, and I think the first session, I remember Mark Andrews was at the first session because I remember he had really long blonde hair, and I think it was just matted, and we were just learning things like hammerlocks and pins and stuff. But I remember the second session was surreal because they had a wrestling ring, and I remember looking at it thinking, fuck, oh my God, that's a wrestling ring. what the hell, like that's insane. And like I was just like so like excited to get in there. And I remember like we did like a rumble, and like I was shit, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was literally just like bulldogging everyone, thinking I was Trish Stratus, and like they let me win the rumble. But yeah, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. My bulldog probably looked like a pile of shit back then too, but yeah.
What was your thought when you've watched? Because I remember watching a program a couple of years ago, last year, sorry, from ICW about Rogue to Wrestler, and they got one to top. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. So basically, they get like 6, 7 people off the street, and then they try and make them become a wrestler for ICW. But one of the main challenges was when they got to the top turnbuckle and they had to do the drop off the top turnbuckle. Now I've never done it, right? I'm not gonna lie and say I've fucking done it. I'm the big guy. What's it like going to the top? What is it like going to the top? I need to. This isn't a question, but this is like off the cuff.
I never ever go to the top. I remember like did like a seminar like a few years back, and we had to go to the top and do squats at the top, and that was hard. I remember I was doing it, and literally like, I'm just there like I'm getting more and more anxious. I'm sweating more and more as I'm doing them. I was happy after I done them, but yeah, I never go to the top anyway. It's just not my style. Like I literally feel like I just like come crashing down like a bag of shit on someone.
You get a nosebleed, is that what it is? Get like a nosebleed at the top and think, oh fuck that, and get back down.
Yeah. Like we'd be in training and like we'd be like trying cross bodies, and then there's like a girl waiting for me. I'm like, oh my god, I'm literally gonna squish her. Like I'm gonna kill her. Does she have to? Does she have to catch me? Like, yeah, she does. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm so sorry if you die, and she's jumping on me. I make myself as light as possible. Yeah.
So if I'm right in saying, then it'd be about mid noughties, so about 2004, 2005 you started, that right? Yeah, roughly.
Try to think. So 29 now, started at 14. So was that 15 years ago?
Yeah, it's about 2005, 6,
about
10, yeah.
2005.
My maths is good, boys. My maths is good, eh? So was it hard to find a wrestler? I mean, nowadays I think wrestling schools are a lot more frequent, you know, because of obviously the boom of the British wrestling industry. But back then, I wouldn't say that it was. Was it hard to find one, or was it more of a challenge?
Well, yeah, I was looking for years before that. I was looking from about the age of like 11 or 12 years old, and that's why I did judo, because I remember watching Tough Enough, and obviously like in Tough Enough, like they do like the bumps and the rolls and stuff, and I thought, okay, cool, they do that in judo, at least I'm learning something. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I found a wrestling school, and as soon as I found that wrestling school, I was like, literally, like, this is me, like, this is my life, like, it's not changing now.
Yeah.
That's
and it was just kind of snowballed from there,
yeah, I just went from there then.
So obviously when you joined, you were 14. Was there many other people around your age at the same time, or?
Like I said, like there were a few people. Like Mark Andrews is 1 year younger than me, but he was at the Hamlock session, and I think not long after they moved to Newport, and then Celtic Wrestling would have taken over in Cathays, and that's when they had the ring and everything. Mm-hmm. So at Celtic Wrestling, it was a lot more older people. Yeah, but then there were a few guys my age, but mainly it was like, you know, old people, like, you know, guys who were like in like 20 to like 30 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so obviously you've done you know, a major thing for BBC around obviously speaking out in the metoo movement and things like that. So we know obviously how hard that has been for people to come forward. One of the terms that you used was ring rat, and I think the quote was, even though I was underage, I was a ring rat, which is a term that's used in wrestling a hell of a lot. It's like a groupie. So obviously for people who aren't really aware of that, I kind of understand the term, what it means, but for people who don't, how are you seen, how are you perceived when it comes to
a ring rat? Is basically when people, well, wrestlers for example, they see you as beneath them. They see you as basically you just hanging around the ring, or you just hang around at shows because you want to be in with wrestlers and you're a slag. And then like once they've had their way with you and like, you know, they've done whatever you want, then literally like you're a proper full-on ring rat then. And they don't care that maybe like, you know, at that time you might have like wanted to do it because you might have actually liked them, or they don't care that like, you know, you've got the same dream as them and you want to be a wrestler. In their eyes, you're a ring rat, and that's all you are. Okay. And if you're a ring rat, you don't deserve respect. If you're a ring rat, it's like as if like you're beneath them. Like a ring rat is probably like the worst thing you can call a female wrestler.
Yeah. So when you said before about burning bridges and stuff, is that kind of connected to this as well, or is it purely because you've spoken out?
Yeah, like literally I've burnt a lot of bridges since speaking out. Obviously I've pissed a lot of people off, clearly. Doing BBC once again pissed other people off. You know, like doing things for me, like doing OnlyFans and everything, pissed people off. Like, you know, like it is what it is though.
What backlash have you had then? You say you pissed people off from the BBC article. Have you had like negative responses regarding that? Because I feel it's a fantastic thing that you've done.
There's this guy, like literally, I didn't like, and this is me not speaking down at him, but I hadn't even heard of him until then. What was his name? Otis, Sissy. Oh, I can't remember his name. It began with an O anyway, and he's apparently a wrestler, and he apparently bought Knuckle Lock School because I've done my research since. But yeah, like literally since I did like my BBC article, he randomly put this thing up like people in the news are hypocrites for speaking out because they used bubble gum a few months back or whatever for their fetish wrestling company, basically saying how fetish wrestling is dangerous, it's this, it's that, like yeah, just literally going off on one, like, and basically, like, cut a long story short, I corrected all this on my social media anyway. We used PIP back in January. Speaking out, what happened in May, June, something like that. Yes, obviously, like I had heard a few things before that, but at that time I'd asked Pip what had happened. He told me what had happened. I took his word for it because he was my friend at the time. When the speaking out movement happened, and literally like I started remembering all my stuff, I thought, oh shit, like I need to reach out to this girl and ask her side of the story because I was so traumatized by bringing up all my old shit. So I contacted her and I was like, hey, like I just want to know like what happened with you guys. She told me her side of the story. I basically said to her, I'm so sorry that I stayed friends with him and everything. After that, then we had a Power Girl shoot coming up. We removed him off the Power Girl shoot. And yeah, that happened. But this Otis guy or Otis or whatever his name is, oh god, I really want to know his name. I can't remember his name.
It's not Otis. It's not Otis that just lost Money in the Bank last week, is it?
Yeah.
What? I don't know.
What a horrible week he's had if he's lost Money in the Bank and then he's getting beat out.
Right, he's gonna like if he sees this, he's gonna start digging me out even more now. So I don't know his name, but yeah. So anyway, he started like making a big thing of it, making it look like I was a bad person, making it look like I was a hypocrite, making it look like because of all the shit that happened to me when I was 14 and 15, making it look like I wasn't credible anymore. And then basically, I don't know why he was just looking on Pornhub, and I don't know why he's looking on Pornhub. Maybe he's watching porn, who knows? But anyway, some weirdo wrestling fan has randomly put up a video of me stink facing Chantel Jordan. At the time, Chantel was 15 or 16 years old. Obviously, that was taken at a family show, and it was a wrestling move before I even had OnlyFans, before I even had my custom wrestling company, before the stink face wrestling move was even like a little bit sexual, you know what I mean? Like it was way before that, and he was basically saying that like because of that I was a danger to children and stuff like that. Chantel reached out to me, her mother reached out to me, like literally, because like her mother's at the shows all the time, you know what I mean? Like I always speak to them all, and they were like completely on my side, but he just made me out to be such an awful person. And then like there were like all these wrestlers who once again I never even heard of, writing awful stuff about me, or putting their 10 cents in, slagging me off and everything, just like bullying me once again, coming for me. Like I like literally I felt so ill and so sick from it all, because like literally like to even like I'd filmed BBC like 2 weeks before it came out, and even then dragging it back up again, it made me ill, dragging it back up again. So then like for them to add that much more stress onto me, like honestly, like I said, like I don't condone that going on Pornhub. It should never gone on Pornhub. Like some sicko put it on Pornhub, you know, like that's but that's like, you know, I didn't put it on Pornhub and I'm getting blamed for it because I'm doing this wrestling move. And yes, a year, like literally last December, I started a wrestling custom company. When we started that wrestling custom company, people started saying, we want stink face matches. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. You want stink face matches? All right then. And literally I realized there was a lot of money in the stink face. So I started putting new stink face stuff up every Sunday on my OnlyFans. And I made a shitload of money out of it because I thought, people love me doing the stink face. Why not? And that was only last December. It was way before that. And when that happened then, it didn't feel right doing many stink faces on shows anyway. Like literally since last December, I've done a stink face on Cat on a show, like a few weeks back, but I probably haven't even done any stink faces on shows. Like I've done like a few shows like Full Force Wrestling, which had Chantel and Jade in them, and literally they're on my YouTube, like they're literally triple threat matches with no stink face and stuff. So when the custom wrestling company started in December, I stopped using the stink face as much anyway, and then March happened, and obviously we haven't wrestled since anyway. So like, you know, like I seen an opportunity to make money and I rolled with it.
Well, I think that's it, isn't it? You're not hurting anyone with what you're doing, and
Oh,
whatever
well, I'm
happens.
hurting this Otis person or whatever his name is.
Might be hurting somebody with the stink face.
Honestly, right, I cannot wait to see him. Like, I literally cannot wait. You know what? All these people who have written about me on social media, I can't wait to see them all. I really can't wait for wrestling to come back. I really can't wait. I want them all to say it to my face.
Keyboard warriors.
That's it.
Yeah, because they won't. You know they won't.
This like Otis person or whatever, I had to look at his thing. I think he's only doing it to get attention. Like he started off with like 1,400 followers, got an extra 500 followers from slagging me off and everything, and you know, saying things about me and making me out to be some sort of like monster predator person. But I think he's just doing it for attention, because I felt like saying, sorry babe, I'm so sorry that the BBC didn't contact you. I'm so sorry that you're not wrestling. Wrestling isn't happening for you. I'm so sorry that you can't do that, but please just don't take it out all on me. Like, yes, I've been doing custom wrestling all throughout lockdown. I've had about like 20, 30 matches throughout lockdown. He's probably done fuck all.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, like, fuck off, Otis or whatever your name is.
Yeah, fuck off, Otis.
Honestly, like,
that'll be the tagline for the show now going forward.
So next week's show, we've got Otis on, by the way.
At first I was sad. At first I was so sad. I was so anxious. And literally, right, it honestly felt like my life wasn't worth living. And for that bastard to make me feel like I wanted to, like, you know, not live anymore, I hate him for it. And now I just feel angry, because I feel like he just targeted me. He seen me when I was down anyway. He seen that I was in national news, and he thought, you know what, let's try and dig some dirt up on this girl. Let's go on Pornhub. Let's see if I can find her on Pornhub. Okay, let's see if I can find it here and there. Like, he was clearly looking for shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
he was looking for shit to find. I'm not being funny, right? People have sent me shit of him, right? There's literally, all you got to do is go on Google, a wrestling post show, and he's literally got his whole ass, like, with his pants pulled down, in some guy's face. Like, I didn't pull my pants down and put it in a girl's face, so fuck off, Otis.
Fuck off, Otis.
Oasis, whatever your name is, Oasis. Like, honestly, like, you know, I'm not being funny, his stuff could have ended up on Pornhub too, but it didn't, did it?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, you know, that could have been on Pornhub. Like, anyone could go and find that now and put it on Pornhub. Then there you go, you're on Pornhub too. Maybe you'll get a few more followers on Twitter.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? With the male and the female wrestlers, you get treated so differently. It's insane.
Well, you know what?
Doing the same stuff, yeah.
They would have never, ever done this to Sasha Martina or to Lana Austin, because they both work for the major promotions like Ring of Honor, Impact, and stuff like that. They would have never done this to them. Lana Austin's been doing the stink face just as long as me. Lana Austin's done the stink face on people. They would never, ever said that for her, because she's got so much respect. And then they would have never, ever said anything to Sasha Martina for doing a stink face or Bronco Buster, just to me, because they see me as a weak person.
Tony Storm does it as well, am I right in saying?
Oh yeah, Tony used to do it as well. That's what I mean. Like, fucking go say it to them as well. Don't just call me out. But then Otis will turn around and be like, oh, well, there was a 15-year-old girl on Pornhub, so that's why. I didn't fucking put it on Pornhub, you dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I totally agree by that. 100% agree with what you're saying, by the way. And
anyone could end up on Pornhub. You know this now, when you put this on YouTube, this might end up on Pornhub.
That's where we are. That's our second.
Yeah, that's our main platform.
Right,
there's always football and stuff like that on Pornhub.
Yeah,
like you say, there's no, like, you can literally put whatever you want up on there.
Mainly Coventry games on Pornhub.
Mainly Coventry, yeah.
I own a custom wrestling company, right? Stinkface is not the only move that's just sexualized, right? We get so many people asking for pedigree matches. So pedigree is a massive fetish move. Body scissors is another fetish move. Powerbomb is a fetish move. Pile drive is a fetish move. So what? Everyone who does them moves too, we're gonna have a go at them as well.
Exactly.
But I'm not being funny as well. But it's, I mean, I'm trying how to describe it. There's a market for it. It doesn't have to be negative. Do you know what I mean? Why does everything have to be negative nowadays? This is what I don't get. And
because Otis isn't making money, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Why
at home on lockdown?
And this goes for everyone who's watching us. Why do we have to criticize others to make ourselves feel better? I always have this saying: never ever treat your full movie of life to someone's trailer of life, because it's never going to be the same. And that's what fucking annoys me with the whole social media stuff. So in general itself, the only problem in life is the big enough problem in life is your own. Yeah. No one else's life. There is going to be bigger problems, but they're not going to affect you as much as your own problems. So just deal with no one else's and get on with your own fucking life. That's
exactly, Chris. Exactly, Chris. You listening?
All right. This is just an attack on me now.
Like, honestly, I'm like, you know, like when I meet someone, I'm the nicest person ever, right? If someone's new to training, especially a girl or they're new to a show, I'll go out of my way to make them feel comfortable, like everything. Like I've given, like over the years, so many girls who are now doing amazing. Like I've given them like their debut matches, their matches early on, like literally, like, and I've looked after them all, and I've always made sure they're okay. And a lot of the girls, like, they do all say that about me. I am one of the nice girls in wrestling, and even I believe that, because I hate bullies. I hate anyone feeling crap or anyone feeling shit, and I know how shit wrestling is and how awful it can be, especially when you're a girl, and I try to make sure that everyone's all right. So I just feel like then, like, when someone's doing stuff like that to me, it just feels like a kick in the teeth, and it just feels horrible. And the fact is then, like, Ashley Vega was sticking up for me, and then some people started being awful to her, and I'm like, what the hell, why are they being awful to her? Like, leave her alone, she's just a young girl.
Exactly.
Like, it's just
you know, it's keyboard warriors. Anyone can say what they want
and
not have the repercussions. Nobody would say that. If anyone said it to my face, the end result would be they'd be on the floor. End of story. But and because of handing behind a keyboard, it seems like it's okay to do it, which isn't. It's still the same. Look at I'm going to feel terrible for not finding her name. Who was the one in Japan that committed suicide not long ago? 21-year-old lassie.
Hannah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I forget.
What the fuck is that all about? And it's all again what we're talking about.
Yeah. Cyberbullying.
Well, I put something up on my Twitter the other day, right? Because basically, when all this stuff was happening, I did like tweet something about my mental health being bad. And this weirdo, once again, who I don't even know, who's apparently a wrestler, I think he comes out of a teddy bear or something. I think he's got a teddy bear gimmick, because I had a little look at him. So this guy with his teddy bear, anyway, he literally tweeted something along the lines of, if you do a wrestling move that's sexual, or if you make a wrestling move sexual, then you're a cunt. So firstly, he's calling the girl a cunt. And then he turned around and said something along the lines of, if you use your mental health to get out of it, this and that. And then like something about like, I should be out of wrestling and all this. And literally he blocked me before he even wrote it. And I'm thinking, like, the only reason, like, literally, trolls, I'm not being funny, right? There's only so much a fucking human being can take, right? Whether I said like my mental health is bad or not, yes, it was bad, but there's still only so much I can take. You guys giving me more, you're fucking pushing me to the extremes. Like, honestly, there's only so much. I could go onto his now and I could troll him and everything, and there's only so much that I can take too. Like, words hurt, words make you feel shit. Like, they make you feel worthless. Like, literally, like, you're just not like you don't want to be alive. Like, you don't, because you literally feel like the world hates you. You feel like literally you can't go back to wrestling, you can't go back and do all these things you love. What is the point in living? And you're in so much pain physically and mentally that the easy way out is just to like sleep. Like me, I'm on a medication called Qizepin because I was diagnosed bipolar when I was like 21, and literally that has been my life savior. When I feel shit now, I just sedate myself. So I'll just sedate myself for like 24 hours or something. But that's like, for me, that saves me, because that's like my way out, instead of like wanting to have dark thoughts again. I'm like, oh no, you could just knock yourself out for a few days, you know what I mean? And just not have to deal with these people. But it's just shit that obviously
they have to do that, though. That's fine.
Put you to that level. Like, yeah, honestly, like, I feel like if this Otis guy is trying to make wrestling better, do it. Yeah, make wrestling better. But like, you know, the other people who are trying to do it as well, don't tear them down. Like I always say, don't tear people down, build them up. You know? Build them up. Like, we've not got wrestling to come back to after this. Like, literally, I'm meant to be doing a show in 2 weeks with fans, but obviously England's gone into lockdown now. I've done a few shows and I've done like loads of Power Girl tapings. Like, so like, wrestling might not even be coming back until next summer, who knows? And then like literally got to build it all back. There's so many people gone. Like, honestly, why are you trying to tear everyone down even more? There's going to be no one left.
So when it comes to that obviously you're speaking out. I know on the video you said that people know who they are, like those people know who they are, but you've never voiced it. And obviously I don't expect you to drop names here and now, but how come you've never publicly voiced who those names are?
You know what, like, it's such a hard one. Like, it's the sort of thing, like, I did publicly voice them, like on a tweet not long after that video, just once though. Like, I just said, because so many people messaged me saying, oh, I remember this guy so and so people actually knew who they were when I was speaking about them. Like, when I was Hulk Hogan story, everyone knew who the corporate was. When I was speaking about the guy who was like saying like mistress this and that, everyone knew who he was. Like, girls I don't even know messaged me because they remembered that he said that sort of stuff to them, you know what I mean? So everyone knew who people were. Like, it's so weird. Like, when I was like 15 and I did sexual stuff with wrestlers, obviously I was a slut, I was a laughing stock, this and that. These guys were like, you know, 20 plus or whatever. They were heroes. Like, literally they were like, oh my god, like, you know, like, you finally got with Nadia, well done, high five. And then it's like literally for years and years and years then everyone knows about these stories and people fabricate the stories as well and make them like better than what they sing. And then like literally up until like a year ago, the fucking Hulk Hogan story was going on. And that happened when I was 15. I'm 29 now, so I was 28 then. So that's up until a year ago, people were still spreading this Hulk Hogan story as if it was yesterday. You know what I mean? Yeah. Still calling me, still making me off, like yeah. Like, and people know, like, people just laugh about it all. My friend Katie Chardonnay, who wrestles, we were talking about it the other day, because we were talking about certain individuals, and she was saying, I remember that they'd be in the car laughing at you, laughing about all this stuff, because she's, like, so pissed off by it all as well. Yeah. Like, yeah.
It's good to have that support, isn't it?
People are a joke.
I've got a friend, quite a few friends in the wrestling industry, and I remember when it all came out, one of them, we were texting each other and he was like, I'm not surprised that this all eventually came out because it's been going on for so bloody long, yet nobody ever says anything about it. It's just like swept under the carpet and kind of just, you know, seen upon as a normal thing, which is far from a normal thing. But eventually,
all of us girls, like, the thing is, all of us girls speak, all used to like know who the guys were who'd pop in your DMs, like everyone would know, and like literally like, it didn't matter like which girl it was, like, so like they'd be like me, they'd be like Chardonnay, they'd be Pollyanna, Aisha, and they'd message all four of us, and we're all like completely different people, you know what I mean? And they message us. They literally, like, I've always said this though, wrestlers just like the young ones. Now I'm 29 and now I'm old. No one wants me because I'm old. But when I was younger, they went.
You're saying as well, like it was like a case where like they all knew who was going to go with you when you turned 16. Is that?
Basically, we were at a show in Merthyr Tydfil, and I think they were doing a rumble or something. Anyway, as a joke, they all pulled like numbers out of a hat of who would get to shag me first when I turned 16. They all knew that my birthday was August the 13th as well. Like, everyone knew the exact date of my birthday, and they knew the day when I was going to turn 16.
That's fucking
shocking, isn't it? It's absolutely shocking. To just briefly move away from all like the negative feedback and the negative comments that you've had, on the flip side of that, have you spoken to any young girls since you were part of Speaking Out who have been inspired by you to speak out and share their stories as well?
Yeah, when Speaking Out happened, I made a WhatsApp group with various wrestlers and trainees in the UK, and I put them all in the WhatsApp group. Everyone could speak. Corona's over as well. Andrew, she's got a school in Portsmouth, and he's basically said that we can all like arrange dates to go and all train down there, like for free together and stuff like that, like in a safe place, so at least all of us girls can get together. I had like quite a lot of girls out to me as well about like their experiences. I had a female fan reach out to me a few days ago about her experience. Obviously, I promised her that I wouldn't say anything, so I'd never say who she was or what she experienced.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite you know, like when everyone's sharing their stories, it's so like mentally you just think, what the fuck? Like literally, like, I think like when you feel like it's only happening to you, you just think, oh, it's happening to me, I can deal with it. Yeah. But then when it's happening to everyone else, you think, fuck, I should have spoke out, because maybe if I spoke out, it wouldn't have been happening to all these other people. Like, I think when it's happening to you, in a way, like, I just felt like, oh, people think this of me anyway, like, I can't change it, there's no point, like I'll just deal with it, I'll deal with people thinking I'm a slut and a slag and deal with all this. But then, like, when you hear about it happening to other people, then you actually think, fuck, like, this needs to stop, because yeah, it's like when it's happening to you, you probably assume that it's not going to happen to other people because they're doing it to you, you know what I mean? But they're doing it everywhere.
I'll come to it a bit more, but I wanted to say, firstly, I've got 2 daughters who love wrestling, so I need to say thank you for that, because that means when I know they grow up, if they want to go in your footsteps, that this wouldn't be the case, because as a father, I genuinely couldn't even imagine what you've been through yourself. But coming back to going a wee bit more, you said obviously that was mainly from when you were 16 was in Cardiff. You then moved to Swindon to continue your wrestling training from there. Did you see a difference when you went to Swindon, or was it kind of just another thing but another city? If that makes sense.
So basically, I was at shows in Wales, close to like help out with merchandise and stuff, and there were a few Swindon lads booked on them shows. So JD Knight, The Saint, and Big Shot. And they obviously always see me hanging around the shows, hanging around merchandise and everything. And yeah, like I remember before, like I was in the ring one time and like practicing things, and like I couldn't even do a back bump properly. Like I've been training for 2 years and I didn't even know how to do a back bump. They're like, that's not how you back bump. Like, so like they could see that I was being taught wrong. Dave, who is still my best friend till this day, at that time, he's seen what was happening and he's seen that it wasn't right, and like they basically said, like, you know, we do have a training school in Swindon. His missus was training there as well at the time, and she was lovely. I remember she had to sit me down and explain to me what a ring rat was, because they wanted me to know what one was. So after training there a few times, she sat me down and explained to me what a ring rat was, and basically, like, you know, tried to warn me off staying away from guys and everything. But like when I was like 16, instead of going to college, because the training school in Swindon was so much more better, like literally, like for once I was actually learning how to wrestle properly. I actually felt like I was improving. I was actually doing like really cool shit, like I was doing like all these cool Germans and tiger suplexes and everything. Like I could tech wrestle, I could do all this stuff, and it was the first time where I was somewhere where people weren't making fun of me, people weren't calling me a slut, people weren't commenting on my boobs or nothing. Like literally no one was popping up in my inboxes. It was like the first time when then that was happening, so I felt safe to just move there and just train there. And like, you know, there was this woman called Angeline who like literally still to this day I'm really close to it. Her sons used to go and train there, and she took me under her wing as well. She was like a second mother to me. Like it was honestly like so different up there compared to what it was like in Wales. But that's when it got really bad as well, though, because they used to be like a forum called Celtic Wrestling, and they'd all go on this forum, the Welsh people would, and they'd all slag me off, call me a slut, and then they'd all start making up stories that like the only reason I was on shows in Swindon was I gave the promoter a blowjob, which wasn't true, because he actually trained me. He's seen how committed I was, and I'm like, you know, I was training with his girlfriend a lot, so like we'd practiced our match for months and months type of thing to debut together. And like, yeah, they were just like making up so interesting stories about me and stuff. It was just horrible. I remember like Dave Sharp had to actually go on to the Celtic Wrestling forums and be like, literally you're ruining this girl's mental health. Like, you need to stop, because I'm a 16-year-old, 17-year-old girl at this time, and people are just being ruthless to me, being awful to me. I remember as well, like on UKFF, the first time like he put match graphics up, there were fans on there saying, oh, she's a bit chubby, she's a bit fat, you know what I mean? Like for like a 16, 17-year-old girl to be going through all that, it's really horrible. Like it spiked an eating disorder. Like I was bulimic for a good few years during that time. Things were just bad, like, because even like the people in Wales were just like making fun of my weight and stuff as well, and just like it's really horrible. I had to go on like tablets in the end, because basically like apparently, like, you know, like when that acid fucks the inside of your tummy, like going up all the time. But yeah, like the bullying was so bad then, awful.
Fucking hell, man.
It's a real eye opener, isn't it? You don't realise a lot of this stuff's going on. Right, so obviously you stepped away from wrestling for quite a while in 2009. You came back in 2014. What was it that brought you back to 2014 in the first place? Was it just that you missed wrestling, or?
No, I tore my ACL, lateral meniscus, medial meniscus. And in a way, I think that saved me, because even though I was in Swindon, I was doing shows, I was training full time, my mental health had deteriorated. Obviously, like I said, I was bulimic. I was always cutting myself and stuff. Like, I'd always like turn up training with like a white bandage on my arm. Like, even if you go back on my Facebook photos when I was like 18, 19, you'll always see me in the club and I'll always have a white bandage in my arm. It's always when I used to like just cut myself all the time. But no, literally, it saved me. Getting injured saved me. As much as I loved wrestling, I would have not stopped wrestling, but it saved me mentally. It meant that I could go home, be back with my family, and work on me and actually be with friends. Yeah, it saved me. It got me out of that horrible thing. Like, you know, my eating got better, everything got better leaving wrestling.
And then that breakaway obviously helped you to be more prepared when you came back then in 2014, yeah?
Yeah, it's a hard one. Like, I don't even know if I would have even come back to wrestling, because my love had gone. Like, I'd given up so much for it. I loved wrestling so much. I wanted to be in WWE. Like, I've moved from Wales to Swindon to train full time. Yeah, I was still getting bullied and still having people say awful stuff about me. My mental health was so bad. I was on antidepressants. Obviously, I was bulimic. Like, I was like everything was so bad that mentally wrestling wasn't good for me to stay in. So when I was like back in Wales, like, and out of wrestling, things did get better for me. Like, you know, I naturally dieted, so like, you know, did it in a proper normal way, made friends, and started going out clubbing and doing normal things that like a normal teenage girl should do. I missed wrestling a little bit, but I managed to block it out. I just like sort of like forgot about it. It's like, even though like it saved me leaving wrestling, it still hurt me watching people wrestling and watching wrestling, knowing that I couldn't do that because I was waiting for my knees to get reconstructed. So I couldn't do that anyway. So it was just so much more easier to just block it out and block the people out and just not think about them. And like, as far as I was concerned, that was my past then. Like, that was something in my life that had happened. Yeah, and the only reason I went back to wrestling was because like my trainer Dave would always be like, "Oh, Nad, come back, we got girls here now, we got girls training, this and that," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, like should I not?" And I think the alpha female was training there then like for a few months, and they were like, "Come on, Nad, come back, like, you know, we got girls training, this and that." So I went back down, started training, thought, "Oh, I like this again," and then moved back to Swindon because I was like, "Oh." Like, I'm one of them people, like, I can't just go training once a week. I wanted to go training, like, all the time then. So I was like, I'll move to Swindon City. I'll train a few times a week then. And then, yeah, I just came back. And that's when Nadia Sapphire proper happened. And that's when the beauty queen character happened.
Did you see a difference when you came back? So obviously when you left and everything, when you came back 5 years later, was there a, you think, oh, this is changed, I feel a bit better about it, or was it more like, oh fuck, it's the same thing again, or, you know?
Wasn't as pervy when I came back. But once again, I think it's because even though like I was 22 when I came back, it's probably a little bit too old for them by that time. So yeah, it's hard. Like, there was lots of.
If you say you're too old for that, with the younger girls, did you see the same kind of that's what happened to me kind of scenario?
I feel like whatever training school, like, I'd see, like, especially like at our training school sometimes, because Dave would always filter out the weirdos from our training schools. Like, if like he felt like that there was a weirdo, he'd like get rid of them before they could even do anything. But like, you know, I remember like a time when like we had a few girls start who were in like their early 20s, like, you know, 20, 21, and literally everyone's just adding them on Facebook, like literally dogs on heat, you know what I mean? I feel like when you're a little bit older, you're not as naive. Like, they love a naive girl. I think what it is like wrestling attracts a certain person, and there's a lot of people in wrestling who've potentially been bullied when they were younger, or like, you know, they might go to a club and they might have no confidence with girls whatsoever. And then like literally they become a wrestler, they get an ego because they performed in front of like 30 people, and then they literally like, you know, like they feel empowered, they feel entitled, and they're like, right, let's just prey on someone now, let's prey on a naive young girl, you know what I mean? Because like all these guys, like they'd have no chance in a club, like in a nightclub, like my friends wouldn't even look at them.
This princess character that you've got, I've seen videos and that. It's fucking brilliant. Like you cut some brilliant promos as well. By the way, where did it come from? What was the idea behind that then?
Me.
Is it just, there we go. Was it
just you cranked up, or was it just you in general?
Yeah, like I said, like I'm one of the nicest girls ever, but then I am a girly girl as well. It's like I'm always like making sure my hair's all right and making sure everything looks good and everything. And like, yeah, it's just like a little extra version of me. It's like an angry version of me as well. Like literally, like if someone pisses me off, I'll go all Princess Nadia Sapphire on them.
Brilliant.
Fair enough. I just a little question just popped into my head. Obviously we've seen since you came back around 2014. That's pretty much when, like 2014, 2015, when the women's revolution and women's evolution really kicked off, not just in WWE, but obviously like in Impact as well. And women's wrestling has just taken off in a big way. How was it as a women's wrestler yourself to, you know, to see that happening and to see women taking the spots of main events like the WrestleMania main event? You know, how does it feel to see that happening?
Nice just to see women have respect and like have people actually like, you know, not want to bully them or not want to prey on them anymore. For me, that was like the biggest thing. Like obviously it's great to see girls who can like wrestle just as well as the guys, but the respect thing was the bigger thing for me, to actually see wrestlers actually respect women now and not treat them like pieces of meat, like in the locker room or like, you know, just in general or in trainings. Just like the fact they actually respect the girls and think, you know what, fair play. Like for me, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah, because it didn't feel forced. You know, that triple threat main event, it didn't feel like they were there just because they were women. It felt like they were there because, you know, they earned that spot. You know, they really deserved it. So, you know, it's been I'm a big advocate of women's wrestling, always have been, always will be. And even for me, it was amazing to see. So I can only imagine how, you know, inspiring and you know, important it must have been for you and for young girls everywhere that want to get into wrestling.
Yeah, for me, like even like watching like Sasha Banks and Bailey feud, when they had that match at NXT Takeover, like the first proper like it wasn't the main event, it was just before the main event, but they called it the main event at NXT Takeover. God, was that about 2006, 2005? It was at Brooklyn, wasn't it? But literally,
Brooklyn,
one of my favorites.
Sure.
15, 2016, something like that. Amazing. Still one of NXT's best matches.
Yeah, like literally all that time, like you just become so emotional, like just looking at them thinking, oh, like this is insane. And like, yeah, when like obviously Becky, Charlotte and Sasha debuted on Raw as well, and yeah.
I got another question. Sorry guys, you two might as well just go home. Well, you already are home, but you might as well just leave.
I'll just sit back then now, Chris, when you go, pal.
Obviously you still watch the product now and you watch WWE regularly, obviously, but what's happened to my audio? It's really weird. Weeks, the last few months, but the Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Buddy Murphy, Aliyah storyline. What are your feelings on that? Because obviously it's been a bit of a hot topic of discussion at the minute with it being such a young girl. She's still, obviously she's legal, you know, she's 18, 19 I think it is, but 19. There is such a big age gap between them of about 13 or 14 years. So, you know, how do you feel about WWE running a storyline like that? Is it a little bit tone deaf after the speaking out movement, or?
I didn't even know that storyline was happening. Like literally, I started, like honestly, right? You know, like when the fans stopped going, I went to watch Mania and I thought this feels weird. There's no fans, and I switched it on then when like there's all people in the background, and it just felt too virtual for me. Like for me, like the fans like such a massive part of it that I haven't watched it, but that does sound like a really interesting storyline. So you're actually making me want to go watch it now.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, well done.
Yeah, got WWE another fan. you know, I think it's completely fine. As I say, both characters, both athletes, performers are of age, so there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. But obviously, in light of the recent movement, the speaking out movement, it just sometimes comes across maybe as a little tone deaf, with it being such a big, you know, a big age gap between them. I think that's been the general consensus, has been a lot of people talking a lot of shit about it and saying that it's, you know, inappropriate. But what are your feelings on that? With them both being of age, does it matter?
Like, I feel like I need to watch it to actually know what's going on and what storyline. Like, personally, like, if I was 18, I don't think I'd be dating someone 15 years older than me. But that's just me. That's my own personal preference.
Yeah.
Like my boyfriend now is like 8 years older than me. I think that's like the oldest.
Thank God you said older than me.
Right, Brill. What I was going to say.
I'm just surprised Ray's okayed that storyline, by the way, because if that was my daughter, I would be going, get the fuck away.
I know. Faz, I think you wanted to touch on the OnlyFans situation,
so,
you a little bit.
Going obviously back to the speaking out and the Me Too, and obviously Otis having saying what he wants to say. Have you received some major backlash for the OnlyFans, considering its stigma?
Well, just to touch up on OnlyFans, this is just how I see it.
Yeah.
Back in the year 2000, 2001, 2002, Vince McMahon made so much money off the divas. He had things, diva photo shoots. They were always like posing in bikinis, posing in underwear, and he made a shitload of money.
Playboy.
Playboy done a big massive thing about when they were in Playboy magazines. He'd make an announcement and go on that. Yeah.
If a girl was on a Victoria's Secrets thing now in her underwear, it's fine. So why can't you do that on OnlyFans, which is her own platform, and make that money herself and have all that money?
Yep.
And that's basically how I see it and how I explain it. I don't get my vagina out. I don't get my tits out. Yes, I might do a little bit of implied topless, and you might see a bit of areola now and then. But literally, you don't see no nipple. You don't see no vagina or nothing. It's not porn. It's literally me in my underwear, in my home, or with a photographer, feeling sexy, making money off me, instead of letting a big corporate company like WWE make that money off me.
Yeah, spot on.
And that's how I see it. With my OnlyFans, I probably earn more than any of the people in NXT UK. I probably earn 2 or 3 times more money, right? No one can believe how much money I make. I make a shit ton of money on OnlyFans. Like, literally, I've taken that control away from all the other guys, and literally, I've given it to myself. I'm in control. It's my body. I do what I want. I literally put lovely pictures of myself, which I think look great by the time I've edited them and everything, and posing in great underwear, and I've got a great fan base who absolutely enjoy it. Like, you
Nadia,
know,
sorry, can I ask a quick question? Can guys do OnlyFans as well? Just out of curiosity.
Anyone can.
Asking for a friend, by the way. Just
do it. No, honestly.
Make some extra money.
So many girls in wrestling are now doing it because what they're realising is, because they've already got a wrestling fan base, they don't need to be getting their tits out or anything. They can just be posing in sexy lingerie, feeling good, because for them, it's like, you know, like how you got people who are fans like Trish Stratus and stuff, and they'll buy the latest Trish Stratus magazine or whatever. Like, literally, that's how they see a lot of the girls on the indie scene as well. They see us like that. So basically, they're happy to pay that subscription to see our photos or our videos or our matches. Like, literally, when wrestling was happening, I'd record every single wrestling match and put it on OnlyFans. So in a way, it'd be like the Nadia Sapphire network instead of the WWE network. I'd release all my YouTube videos on there like a week early before they'd go on to normal YouTube, just giving them all these benefits. People assume that OnlyFans is just porn. Yeah, like the porn and adult industry is saturated with it, but even singers are on OnlyFans, sports people are on OnlyFans. Like, loads of people have it. You use it how you want it. Like, some of these people, like, they love to judge, but they don't see, like they don't see what's on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one of the big parts of it, obviously during like lockdown, a lot of the sexual industry, they went into that platform, didn't they? As you said, they took the control. And obviously, I didn't even know about OnlyFans till a lockdown happened, and then my Twitter feed kind of blew up. So I think
now he's skin.
Now I'm skipping, yeah. I think
you got Nadia 60% off. That's what that was all about.
I know.
That was you.
You know what? Did you get my percent off? Like you know what? I am.
I did.
So I think when it comes to obviously the speaking out and the Me Too and the OnlyFans, I think what people need to realise is they're not even remotely linked or associated with each other. OnlyFans is a way for you to take control of your own career and your own power and say, this is me. You're not paying, a strip club manager. You're not paying anyone. It's you and it's yours and it's what you control. The Me Too movement is nothing connected to it. And I think people need to stop doing that and absolutely having a go at people who have these platforms.
And there's a difference between being a 15-year-old girl and a 29-year-old adult. There's a massive difference.
Yeah.
Massive,
literally there is. I think there were a lot of it. Like a lot of men, I've noticed, are quite angry that women are finally taking control and that women are finally making money off their own body. Like if men could do it, I know so many guys are like, nah, if I could have an OnlyFans, I'd do it. If I could have a custom wrestling company, I'd do it. I think a lot of them are just literally angry that they can't do it and that they can't make that money. And like if they could exploit a woman, the bastards probably would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're just like, we've taken all that control away from them. We're like, no, I'm gonna do this in the comfort of my own home, and like literally I'm gonna put on what I want, not what you want, what I want, and I'm going to do what I'm comfortable with.
Exactly. More power to
you. You say that you're elder. I don't think you are, because I'm older than you, so I like to think that we're not old just yet. But what is your what's your goals? Because you still are at a young age and you still got like a future in wrestling. Is that where you wanted to develop yourself? Is it NXT UK, or is it just a case of Nadia doing her own Nadia thing?
It's such a hard one because obviously my dream was always WWE. I had tryouts back in 2016 and they were like so surreal, and it made me obviously want WWE again. But at the same time, there's so many, like, God, how long have we got left on this podcast? Because like literally I'm just gonna
as long as you want. It's your podcast.
Like, you keep going.
Right, so this is just how I feel, like where I am in my life. So I feel like obviously, as I've got older, my mental health has deteriorated. Obviously, I don't want to keep going on about it, but I have gone I'm full time on OnlyFans, full time now with wrestling and stuff like that. Like for years, I've not been able to hold down a job just because of the stress of it and the amount of medication I'm on and just like all this stuff. And I feel like working for a big corporate company wouldn't be good for mental health. As much as I'd love to do it, I feel like I don't know if mentally I would cope in that situation of like having to like be up at 7 a.m. to like go to all these places, to go to radio things, constantly having to fight for my spot on TV, all the backstabbing, the bitching. I don't know if I'd be strong enough to deal with that. Yeah. So as much as like I'd love to go WWE and like love to perform for WWE and stuff, just all the little things make me feel like I don't know if I'm strong enough to deal with that. Part of me feels like I'd much rather go to somewhere where, like, for example, like Impact, where like you've got girls like Jordan Grace, Katie Forbes, Brooke Hogan, like not Brooke Hogan, sorry, Kira Hogan, like all these girls who are literally like taking control of their own career. They have their own creativity, like they do Impact, like, but then they can do indie shows as well. They can still make their money on their other platforms and stuff like that. Like I feel like something that suits me better, even though it's a dream to go to WWE. I don't know if having a corporate company in control of me would be good for me.
Paige is a prime example of it, isn't she? Really, to be honest, with what she's going through now.
I'd probably earn way less money if I went to WWE as well. So
I think the person you made the Jordan Gray, I think she's badass as fuck, man. I think she's one of the coolest.
Oh, she's so good.
Oh, she's amazing, man. Like, and I think her going to WWE would ruin her whole career. I genuinely believe that. I think where she is right now is just awesome. She's killing it, man. She's brilliant.
She's probably making so much money. Like, she's got her Patreon. She's probably got so many people signed up to that. Like, Patreon's another platform. People usually like assume a patron is like, you know, like more respectful, this and that and everything. Like, I think we all post similar stuff, you know what I mean? But literally, you know, like she's got her calendar out, she'll put like, you know, some like lingerie photos and she looks absolutely hot in them. And like, you know, she's killing it. She's got a massive fan base, she's making money, like she's wrestling wherever, like literally, like she's literally living life, she's living her best life. Like someone like that is so inspiring, and just like yeah, it's just like I think she's building a name on her own.
Yep,
Definitely.
I agree. Totally agree with you.
Definitely, yeah.
Totally agree with you.
Absolutely.
I think obviously we were going to end on the stink face question, but you spoke about it before, so I'm kind of happy to let that go. So one of the questions I'd like to ask, if you could go back to your 13-year-old self now, just before they step into those rings, what advice would you give that person?
Well, I would say to stay away from the boys, but then at the same time, how would you stay away from them if you're the only girl there? So hard. Like, I feel like everything I've been through has made me today, and I feel like, say if like at that time I'd said to my mum what was happening, or if I like, you know, spoke up at that time, I wouldn't have been able to wrestle. Like, I genuinely feel like, I know it sounds awful, like, but I feel like if I hadn't have just shut up, yeah, like it's such a hard one, but like that's genuinely how I feel. Like if I'd spoken out at the time, like, no, this ain't right, then like, you know, no one gives a shit about me. I'm just a girl, you know what I mean? In their head, I'm just a ring rat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to wrestling training. I'm not going to do shows and stuff. So back then, I felt like I just had to put up with it. I feel that if people would be awful to me, like I just have to sit in the corner and cry, or like, I don't know, go home and cry, and then just come and deal with it the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the only advice I give myself is just be stronger and just try and be positive, and maybe just Dad, this isn't going to be forever. Like, don't let it affect your mental health. Like, literally, just keep going.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For joining us today, Nadia. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything, obviously, from your side you want to plug, social media and things like that?
Instagram, Nadia Sapphire. Twitter, Nadia_Sapphire. YouTube, Nadia Sapphire. OnlyFans.com/Nadia Sapphire.
Yeah,
Seeing a pattern here, yeah.
You can ask Stu for the review. Stu will give you 5 stars. He's all over it.
I always post my OnlyFans reviews on Instagram, like I always do.
There you go, Stu. Anonymous.
Tell the wife, for God's sake.
So thank you so much for having me. Like, I don't know, like, if like I'm all over the place because like I'm trying to like literally like say things, going on to another thing like that.
No.
I think obviously
perfect.
We're new to this ourselves, and obviously, you know, we've had some, you know, Grado for a start was pretty huge for us. You know, a lot of us were starstruck, and then obviously having yourself on,
like Scotland as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stu goes to all of them. Stu contacts them all. He just emails them.
I bombard them, really, to be honest.
Going from obviously the fun, you know, over the top of Grado to such a serious discussion and topic, but obviously getting to find out about you is what we wanted. So thank you so much for coming on. We really do.
Obviously, there's probably like so much more I could say, but you'd be here for days.
We'll have you back on.
Oh yeah, it'd be a pleasure to do it again. Yeah, I'd love to.
Amazing. All right then. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadia.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it? That was an excellent.
Really good. That was great. Yeah, I had a blast.
It was just to hear what she's gone through, and as you said, Stu, and I think obviously Chris, you have both got daughters, so to hear anyone like that, I mean, I grew up with my sister. I've got 2 sisters, I've got 3 nieces. Like my lad is the first boy to be born into the family since me, so I'm with you.
Lad.
to have those stories tell, to know what she's been through, and you can clearly see it. She's still struggling. You know what I mean?
100%, and understandably so as well, because that's it's not easy to firstly talk about it, and especially bringing it back up, because I'm sure I've never been in that situation, and I hopefully never will be. But you kind of probably will put it in the back of your head and forget about it. But I have to really commend Nadia for what she's done, and really, like I said before, thank her for being a father. You know, to having two girls, if they want to get into the industry, having her to do what she's done makes me feel a bit more secure and a bit more relaxed. That, you know, hopefully these scenarios don't happen ever again.
Yeah, and like my daughter's, she's about to turn 9 in March, and she's only really just starting to show an interest in wrestling. So it's nice to already, you know, I'm glad that she wasn't old enough to get into WWE and stuff like that when it was the Divas.
Yeah.
Like she can now see, she's coming in at a time where she can see these strong women, these independent women doing their own things and taking control of their own destinies and their own lives. You know, it's a beautiful thing to see. It's come such a long way since we were kids.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And just to change the subject slightly, I'd like to congratulate Chris for growing a beard this week, which has been quite good. He hasn't shaved all week just to make sure our fans are.
I know. No, this is like a month. This is like a month of not shaving.
And he's also not wore a gingerish t-shirt just to make sure we know where it starts and finishes, which is absolutely awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant,
beautiful,
guys.
beautiful.
Well done.
It's cute that you think that this is a beard. Very
I'm giving
cute.
you a bit of a. I'm giving you a push. I'm giving
Thank
you a
you.
push, so we say. You know, I'm not going to bother you in this one. Next week, though, guys, I have to go. We've got the one and only from Ring of Honor, Shane Taylor, coming on, which
Huge.
is massive. So
Massive.
that's a hat trick of
Thrilled.
3 fantastic, huge guests, and I'm really, really excited to speak to Shane next week. We'll be talking about his career, talking about what he's wanting to be done, what he's doing, all that kind of stuff. Brilliant. So that's not one to be missed.
No, definitely
real
not.
cool, that one. Big one.
Definitely not. Obviously, I'd just like to say thanks, guys, for coming on. It's been a pleasure speaking to both your handsome faces.
Course,
Does anyone want to plug your social medias?
At PWCDs, always. I might even just change my name on here so it just says PWCDs. Make it easier for people.
But you can't see it.
That's the only place that I'm at.
Pointless. So carry on.
You can't see it.
All right, whatever then. Fine. I won't bother. Whatever.
What to do is,
At PWCDs.
Just put it on the wall. There you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just hold it up here.
I'm going to do that. Take the clock down.
And what's my Instagram? At Nintendees as well, which is not wrestling related, so don't bother.
Okay, so
there you go. Carry on.
Good plug. We need to work on that one there, I think. For myself is at slawson1417. slawson1417. Don't fucking bother with my Instagram because I ain't gonna add you.
Personal only.
Good plug.
Mine is Twitter at Faz's Thoughts. That's FAZZAS Thoughts. And obviously you can follow us on Twitter at It's Our Pod. We're also on all the podcast platforms and on YouTube. Give us a like, sub. We've got plenty more coming up. We've got competitions coming up. And we've got obviously a lot more guests and things like that lined up for you. So we've had a few audio issues today, so I'd like to apologise for that. Obviously, Nadia was on a phone and Chris is wearing a stupid headset.
Fucking playing Call of Duty.
Call of Duty headset.
But obviously, there's not really much we can do.
It came out of the audio jack, so that was my fault. I think other than that, it was fine. It literally just popped out when I got a drink.
So just to clarify, last week I fucked up by putting my AirPods on. I fixed that, but Chris fucked up in general. So
yeah, exactly.
Third time's a charm.
Next week it's me.
We're going to get you for you.
So thanks very much, guys, and as always, we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Goodbye.